this is private property, the median. So we don't allow any solicitation on private property here.
Okay.
Okay.
So, is this just like a formal warning then?
Yeah. So basically, this is a. I've gotten maybe 6 complaints in the last 4 or 5 days alone about just somebody perpetually being here, and so now we're getting a sign made. This is everyone's last warning because we're just going to start calling the police because it's just a constant battle.
Battle over people that are just complaining. So if they weren't complaining, then it wouldn't be an issue.
If everyone encouraged it, if the customers wanted it, I would say sure, fine. I mean, what's the difference to me personally? But whether it's in the parking lot, it's in the median, it's still private property. So we don't allow solicitation, whether it's Girl Scouts, voter registration. Like, it makes no difference what the cause is. We just don't allow anybody to solicit on our property.
Okay, so a couple things just to clarify.
Sure.
There's a misconception about the definition of solicitation, so that's a commonly misused word. So it's not necessarily what we're doing. We're just holding a sign. And,
Okay.
It's like loitering. So that would be the statute, or the policy that you guys have. So I mean, this isn't soliciting. So it's kind of like we got to argue down the same paradigm.
Okay.
So
all right. So now we're going to
it's
semantics.
It's just loitering. So it's a formal warning for loitering. And
Sure.
so just to clarify.
So if you walk around with a sign saying "Give me money," that's not solicitation. That's loitering.
The actual definition of what has to be thrown through court of soliciting is like interrupting people, knocking on windows. You can literally say, "Give me money" all day long, and that's actually not soliciting.
Okay.
So wording wise. So because the whole point of public-private is that this is kind of a marketplace, and so at this point, based upon how the complaints are have been had, and the reason for why someone would be removed from a property. My brother and I have been tracking this for a very long time.
Sure.
At this point, we would be having to go through an injunction for our right to do creative speech at this point, because other marketplaces have had this happen to them, and they've lost the public-private battle. While this is private property, it's open to the public, and there's.
So when I call the police every time, though, they don't tell me it's a speech issue, it's a free speech issue, it's a human rights issue. They tell me we're on our way to remove the person.
Exactly. That's why there's an injunction that I'm going to have to go through off of this property to basically stamp out the possibility that a cop can get a trespassing charge called. It's like basically what happened in Westminster, as a good example. There's a Bach versus Westminster case law there, where real quick, they were handing out pamphlets and they would be otherwise removed for trespassing. They asked the courts for injunction, found out that based upon the circumstances of the location and the type of atmosphere, ultimately resting on the idea that a marketplace, it took enough, even though it was a private entity, it took enough from the marketplace of like a public entity that it resembled enough of a public square that eventually the First Amendment was upheld, based on private property.
Sure.
I can go if I can go and just kind of hang out and talk to people, just hang out, just standing there. That's kind of the same thing as me standing here and talking. And so there's a problem, unfortunately, with customs that are mostly ill-informed or complaint-based driven ones, where someone may have complained about seeing me along this corner, but if you've never actually moved anybody else along, but if you have, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is,
every couple hours as of late.
Yeah, but the whole point is that there's this constant contention that it's like a reverse policing. It's just I understand that it's your guys' property, but it's not necessarily your property when you basically take away from the public fora for business, and it's like everyone has to go to their food place somewhere to get food involved. So it's like a marketplace. So for you guys to try and privatize some sort of marketplace, it's already been challenged in court, and it's already lost. So all I'm saying all I'm saying right now is that if
you want me to call the police.
No. I'm taking my formal warning as a loiterer. So basically, the only contention here is that you would otherwise require me to only come back doing business or something like this. You're still letting me come back as a non-sign holder, right? I'm not trespassing.
No, of course,
property.
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
Because a lot of people skip that step.
Sure.
They go and they straight ban people, and so we have a track record of discrimination. It's really stupid. And so if this is like you said, if you don't care either way, but you are getting complaints, and so for record purposes, you know, you guys have a policy.
It's for the entire country of whole, you know, for all Whole Foods markets. It's not unique to Fort Collins. It's not unique to Colorado. It's not unique to
No. I know
anywhere.
It's all statutory for enforcing anybody's personal policy. If you want to go skateboarding, so forth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't want a red shirt, if you just simply don't like me, you can ban me from your property. This is private property.
Private from a
you can technically do.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, no, even here from right here.
Right.
You have the power right here.
Sure.
It's the exact same as that property. There's no difference.
Right.
So it's like, you know, if I'm basically sitting down and hanging out with a sign and you don't want me, if I'm not even holding a sign, and the law that I'm trying to get at is basically it's a personal policy establishment that in the end, the only recourse that my brother and I have had is legal, where it comes down to if it's discriminatorily enforced. If it's just First Amendment, people hold the signs. There's a lot of fights that have been won and lost depending on the nature. If it's just like a gas station, it's not necessarily a marketplace, but if it's like a different marketplace, depends on who polices it. There's all sorts of legal circumstances. You know, Bach versus Westminster, by the way, is a really interesting case. Because what I'm trying to get at ultimately is the only reason why this is happening is, as my big brother and I have tried for 2 years now, is homelessness. I'm not one to point fingers, but there's other establishments that people don't do this at all for. Exactly the same thing. We're on their private property, but some other ones, cops will totally illegally pick us up off of a trespassing charge without even a formal warning. It's that bad of a
Right.
And so, you know, we have in every single situation reported. It's just getting ridiculous.
Sure.
And so, you know, what's really disturbing, so what's really disappointing for me is that there's been a lot of enforcement only based upon the group of people that don't really know the laws very well. And they'll just, as soon as they see a van hanging outside their window, you know, they think, why wait for a statute? They don't even know what statute is. They call the cops, and the cops come up and try and figure out what's going on.
Sure.
And every time, you know, you could have a criminal, but in the meantime, basically, if we're in the wrong establishment, my brother and I get kind of profile block.
Right.
And so we genuinely need resources. We're in a really big hit where the shelters can't provide the kind of resources we need. A couple bucks for like propane, gas. That's all we're asking.
Sure.
And so this being kind of another move along by the city is what I'm trying to get at, where if you said, if there wasn't any problems, then genuinely if people understood what they're complaining about, like the people that call in, what exactly are they complaining about seeing in person? Have they come talk to me? Do they know why I'm here?
Right.
You could have a policy that personally could let us be here. That's not a problem. And you can technically sort of tell the customers, like, hey, we don't mind as long as they're not breaking any statutes.
Sure.
Or damaging property, mostly like skateboarding, things like that.
Of course.
And so when it comes down to, if no one's really willing to specify the actual articulate reasons why to remove us, then we kind of added to our complaint to being moved along. Generally speaking, we have a lot of move-alongs, public and private. People thinking public is private. At least you understand this is private.
Yes.
A lot of people think otherwise. As cops, we caught not using maps, things like that. And so, if in the end all it is just a hey, we don't like anymore. It's like honestly, me standing here, very little to sort of legally complain about, and that's why other jurisdictions that have kind of evolved past this lynch mentality. Some places in Denver we found that we're trying to get back to, by the way, because resource-wise, they don't mind at all. You know, and so it's a purely Fort Collins super homophobe racist mentality to the point where even on their website, the Fort Collins website, they still haven't taken it now. It says, "Don't give the panhandlers a visit for this change," and it's like the first thing I ever panned for was a notary for a motion to dismiss for a case that I had to go pro se for because it was a civil suit that the city brought that they don't offer public defenders. It was a really botched scenario.
Yeah.
And so my brother and I are just like this close to getting what we need to get out of this mess. We have a lot of evidence. We're just trying to get on YouTube.
Sure.
And we have internal affairs. We have a mostly like 30 or so cases won. You only have a couple coming up of remaining ones of just basically homeless, lynching people, just constant, just homeless discrimination. It's like the 60s, exactly, really bad. So I don't know what else to say other than thank you being willing to talk me through a formal warning. Because most people in some jurisdictions will straight up not even let you go back and shop there, and it's like, whoa.
Right, no, I mean, anybody that's shopping, but I mean, our issue here, like literally, this is the 4th time in the last like 2 hours I've been out there. So, as you like,
interesting.
Yes.
With other people.
Yes, it's all the time. I mean, obviously we've gotten a few of like the usual folks that come through, but now like we've gotten so many people coming in on the phone. I get a lot of emails. I've got a lot of emails recently just saying like every time I come to shopping, like, everyone's really friendly inside, but like if I come over, there's somebody standing out there with signs asking for.
Very interesting.
So,
because if it really comes down to this, and if you're willing to kind of work with the stats on this, because we've never done this with an establishment, this was kind of one of the last, places on earth that, in Fort Collins that you can get help on the corner. Because that's a median that's on private property. Medians in another city they've taken, or not taken, but started enforcing after a long time of not enforcing. But basically, if it just comes down to complaints, and we'll go research this further somehow, but like the types of behavior of people that are out here, basically, if it's just complaint driven, I imagine if you guys took a stance and then maybe yourselves went out there and observed them yourself, just to not take someone's word for it, and so forth. Technically speaking, you guys don't necessarily have to have this draconian policy without any racism on
we don't
yourself.
But it is like, I mean, it's not like I've worked as the 11th Whole Foods I've worked at. I've worked from Vegas to Detroit to Nashville. Like I've been all over the place. But like they have, I mean, it's not. It's like no Girl Scouts. I mean, you voter registration, which obviously is not, denominational one way or another, right? It's like we don't allow anybody basically to interact. So it's just a very blanket. Like it doesn't matter what the purpose is. We just don't allow people to solicit. So I guess I understand your definition and why you don't think that it's not active solicitation, but like
because the whole point of soliciting is technically I could still go up and walk up to somebody and solicit, and that's technically soliciting. So that's
right, which is not allowed on.
So we can't talk to people either when we walk up the street.
You can talk to people, but you just can't ask them for. It's like solicitation is asking for money, asking for.
Now keep in mind,
maybe you go buy me something inside.
Keep in mind asking. Okay, just clarifying, but there's it's not money, it's help, it's networking, it's just communicating. Sure. Kind of like basically for anything. I mean, it's a big pit of assumptions. That like if people gave us propane, we wouldn't need money.
Sure. But people have propane.
They all go to the homeless shelter.
Sure.
And there's other ways of either have to sleep and so on, so whatever. But basically, I'm just gonna have to say it's a shame that if it really does come down to a constant battle, where you guys are constantly fighting out people, whereas over here they've just decided to tell their customers to fuck off, kind of thing. That if it's just a bunch of racist customers who are promoting the entire policy in the first place, and then Whole Foods says they can't do anything about it. They're not. Whole Foods isn't really pro First Amendment.
I don't think we have any specific stance on,
well,
as a company, but
still, I mean, like in general, like, people loitering in front of it is no problem. Just hang out. So we're just to sit down there.
We let people sit down outside.
Here, let me
I have a lot of stuff
I know.
to do.
Let me finish with this.
Okay.
I've seen people wear a T-shirt that has this cardboard sign on it that they're now walking around doing what I would be doing. And if I were to hang out and walk around Whole Foods, how long would you let me hang out before I had to like buy something or something like that? It draws a line of what's soliciting versus what's just loitering in your public square. And so a lot of people do a lot of defamation, and they pack a lot of definitions of what they think somebody's being out here for, when it's like the equivalent to if I wore a T-shirt that said all this, you couldn't make me take the T-shirt off. But since it's a sign, you think you guys can make me move along. So,
No, but I mean, either way,
it's pretty bad.
With the rules, I mean, they vary state by state, of course. In most states, you have the right to refuse service to anybody as a business owner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, what's the ultimate difference?
That would be if you actually go read Bach versus the City of Westminster, where they basically tried to privatize an entire sector of the city, which is all the business. And,
Yeah.
and to a point, the way that it was patrolled by the police, the way that it was enforced, it ended up being a public sphere that no one could really infringe on people's First Amendment rights. They were able to go around and hand out pamphlets and interact with people on a First Amendment basis.
Sure.
Basically, the alternative is privatizing the public square, and that's a very large problem that we've seen with mall companies and universities and so forth.
Sure.
It is rampant ratification of a privatization of a public sphere that this would otherwise normally be public, and since no one's case lawing it fast enough, everyone's just getting caught up thinking that this is just the norm, this is the 500-person people belong. So, like I said, in other places,
Right.
they case law in the other direction, and they're able to let people talk as long as they're not committing any statutory violation or damaging property.
Sure.
They have a completely different perspective on how to enforce, people with these things. Even if they're asking for money. Because the whole point of asking for money is that there's still other statutes like harassment. If you tell them not to and they continue, then it's an actual call the cops moment. There doesn't need to be any of these policy violations. There's just a lot of policy enforcement when you guys say that you would use the cops to back you up, but then no one really ever talks about why it's being
There's only
you're just doing their
I'm
job.
trying to do my job.
Yeah,
and I have a lot of business to worry about inside the store.
You're a Hive member. You have no control. You're just enforcing some draconian policy. It's too bad that you can't really. I would say the most that you could do, if you wanted to think for yourself, would be to, maybe pay close attention to the overall position of other places too. Let people do things like let people do Girl Scouts, on schedules and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I can schedule something to do basically it's freedom of speech and it's canvassing, and I think instead of blanket policies, I think because they can get really arbitrarily enforced against certain demographics of people, it turns into one big poverty hate crime. And so I think you guys could probably do some soul searching as a company and move forward, and not be so old-fashioned, if I want to say. Because Dave and I, we use this median for help quite a lot of times.
Yeah.
No one's ever complained. So eventually, I guess people with their own mentalities are like, oh, I've seen him too many times now. I gotta go complain about him now.
Well, but I mean, it's obviously not one individual.
Oh, I know, it's
just
everybody.
This is
But even
the
then-
fourth time today I've been out on the meeting.
But even then, if what they're complaining about isn't really anything legitimate, if they're just complaining about a person holding a sign, and it's not actually, the person isn't even interacting with them,
Right.
or anything like that. If they actually don't have any actual personal victim card they can pull out of the situation, that's what we're trying to explain.
Sure.
It's just a bunch of blatant racism.
Right.
So we're sick of it.
All right.
I really appreciate
Cool.
you letting me talk this out.
Yeah, cheers.
Good luck, Robert. Your customers represent you, and like I said, you can go either direction. You can tell them to fuck off. And sorry, I don't mean to say that with bad words, but seriously, because like I said, other communities aren't so racist. Oh man, these people are really bad. So.